DeMar DeRozan was moved in a sign-and-trade that sends him to the Sacramento Kings, ships Harrison Barnes to San Antonio, and Chris Duarte and a second-round pick to the Chicago Bulls. Just 2 years ago, the Kings lit the beam and shocked the world as the 3 seed after not making the playoffs for 17 years. They won just shy of 50 games that season, but what kept them very competitive was their energy and their ability to just win games on the road. Unfortunately, due to a historic performance from Steph Curry, the Warriors would find themselves winning in 7 games at the first round. Then this last season, the Kings had plummeted down the standings with injuries to guys like Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk. With just 2 less wins than the season prior, they went from the 3 seed to the 9 seed after losing in the play-in tournament. And now today they have retained Malik Monk, look to have a healthy Kevin Huerter, and have signed DeMar DeRozan. But what does any of this mean for the Kings? Before we get into this video, guys, if you are new here, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button. We're very close to our goal of 3,000. Let's waste no more time, get straight into this. For starters, let's address a few struggles that the Kings have had this last season and how DeMar DeRozan may be inclined to assist them in fixing it. First things first, the Kings gave up way too many big runs in certain games this last season. In the 2023 NBA season, the Sacramento Kings found themselves in a top 3 that nobody wants to be a part of. They blew the 3rd most double-digit leads this season with 15 games or leads blown. The only people who had blown more were the Wizards, who blew 17, and the Spurs, who blew 20. Again, a list you do not want to be a part of. Not to mention, they blew 35 regular leads and 17 fourth quarter leads this last season. DeMar DeRozan will definitely help stop the bleeding in most of these cases. The Clutch Player of the Year award was only been awarded the last 2 seasons, and in both of those seasons, DeMar DeRozan placed 2nd and 3rd in voting, with just Steph Curry and his new teammate De'Aaron Fox winning the one in 2023, the season that they were the 3 seed. DeMar's mid-range efficiency will pair excellently next to Fox's as well. It'll help slow down the game and let it breathe as the 4th quarter is born. When the shot clock winds down and things get tense for De'Aaron, it'll be very nice for him to be able to kick it to someone who is more than comfortable making their own shot. Kings fans have been adamant about Fox fixing his 3-point shot, as last season he shot a career high almost 37% on 8 threes a night, which is great volume for someone like him. The only issue is after December, his 3-point efficiency definitely saw a big dip in the months of January and February. I can only assume with the addition of someone like DeMar, who's averaged 20 points per game or more in his last 11 seasons, that the floor will definitely start to open up for Monk, Fox, Huerter, Murray. The list will continue to go on. Another big issue that the Kings faced last season was getting away from what they know. The Kings are effective when they're attacking the basket, kicking the ball out for 3, or letting Sabonis sort of be the hub of the offense if they're not playing it in transition. In the 2022 season, they finished 5th in 3-pointers made, and then the season following last year, they finished 4th in 3-pointers made. However, there were many moments down the stretch of this season and down the stretch of these close games. I think about that game against the Rockets in specific, where they just strayed away from their game and tried to play hero ball when it wasn't needed. I think some of this comes and stems from frustration, as Fox sees that most of his team, or most of the team that can score the ball, is kind of hurt. Mike Brown's rotations are not that great. Well, now you have DeMar DeRozan, who is near a 35-year-old vet who has played under Coach Pop, played under Coach Dwayne Casey, played under many great coaches in his career. He can kind of help explain to the young guys the importance of not getting riled up in these big moments, playing every single possession like it's 0-0, and also just helping be a voice for the coaches in the locker room and on the bench. If we're looking at it from just a record standpoint, Mike has been great in his tenure as the Sacramento Kings head coach, but with the injuries we saw this season, his flaws were definitely starting to become magnified through the eyes of Kings fans. They started to notice that some of his rotations are not what you would call ideal. He fails to make the correct adjustments in games where the lineups are caught on fire. Again, I'd hope DeMar can sort of help extinguish any heat that we see on and off the court. Another thing DeMar will help is take the development of Keegan Murray to the next level. I think it's been frequently discussed from what I've read on certain Reddit pages and other various Kings forums that people cannot make their mind up if Keegan should be a 3rd star or a role player, because his rookie year was so impressive. He broke that 3-point record 4 rookies. He had a couple 40-point games. And then last season, it just seemed like we were leaning back towards that role player category. But if DeMar can help him develop a mid-range shot, teach him how to maybe efficiently put the ball on the floor and just create his own shot in an effective manner, whether that's in the starting unit or in the bench unit, the next thing you know, the team starts to look just a little bit more scary because Keegan is a great rebounder for his height and he can shoot the skin off the ball. So the question and the reason I guess you clicked on this video, what are the Sacramento Kings? I think honestly they are pretenders, and I mean this in the best possible way. If the Mavericks can make the NBA Finals, I think it's very possible to see a playoff run sourced through shot making with this Kings team. I can't say that they'll make the finals. I can't say they'll win the finals because I'm just not gonna be delusional without seeing this, team get up and down the court. But if you told me that this season, like right now, if you say, hey dude, the Kings are gonna win 50 games, they're gonna win in the first round, they're gonna make the second round competitive, they might even make the conference finals, I would say that it's very possible. I like to think back to the season where the Mavericks made the Western Conference Finals the first time before they lost to the Warriors, who were the champions. I mean, they slaughtered the Suns in embarrassing fashion. And if you guys remember, the Suns won 67 games and made the NBA Finals the year before. Obviously, Luka Doncic is better on the surface than De'Aaron Fox or Sabonis, whoever you would want to call the Kings' best player. But it's worth noting that it is possible through shot making, even if the roster doesn't, think like you wouldn't look at that Mavericks roster and say, I'm going to pick the Mavericks over the Suns. Like, no, that's just not how it works. But when you look at this Kings roster, it's relatively easy to convince yourself that, hey, if we hit some shots and get the ball rolling, it's definitely possible. Sabonis is one of the best at his position. Seriously, a gem, a diamond in the rough. It's rare we see a trade like the one for him and Tyrese be winners on both sides. He can pass the ball, he can rebound the ball. He's got a great back to the basket game. He's pretty disciplined on defense. You rarely see Sabonis in foul trouble. And then Fox is the same way, just in regards to his skill set as position. One of the fastest guys in the league, learning to pass and shoot the ball better, insanely clutch, amazing downhill mid-range shot. Great at attacking the basket, super athletic. And then you add DeMar, who's an excellent scorer. And then you have Malik Monk. And DeMar, the thing with DeMar is he's not a great three-point shooter, 29% on his career, but he does shoot 39% from the three-point corners. And his catch and shoot numbers are relatively solid for what you would want in a third option. Then Monk, Murray, Kevin Huerter, these guys can all shoot the skin off the ball. They just acquired a defensive stud in Jalen McDaniels. I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to get. We might be seeing Jalen cover the minutes that Davion Mitchell's no longer getting because he's not a part of this team anymore. I'm excited to see what Trey Lyles can do for this roster as well. The Kings, man, you got to tell me, guys, how do you feel? Are they legit? Are they going to win 40 games, 50 games, 45 games? Are they going to make the playoffs, the play-in? Let me know in the comments below, y'all. If you made it this far, I appreciate your support as always. I can see them being a top 6 team. That's all I got to say. Have a great rest of your guys. Peace.